What is up, everyone? Welcome to Townsend 505. Um, Welcome to the channel if you're new, or welcome back if you're a music junkie like I am, or a subscriber, or whoever you are. Whatever brought you back to this channel. You know, you know, see my ugly mug and deciding to come back. More props to you. Um, Gotta give you some credit. However, all that aside, today I'm going to be doing a really good video. I'm going to be starting a series, and this is going to be a very short series. So this I'm going to try to take like an artist. It'd be like a series that I do by myself. Hey Jason, how are you doing? So basically, this series is I'm gonna take a long artist that I know no one else will do a discography deep dive with me, like Stevie Wonder, for example. Maybe eventually I might do a series covering his big albums, but as far as like big albums are concerned, I won't be doing that. But as for an artist like Stevie Wonder, I want to give his albums more of a fair shot. I mean, Jason, who's watching right now, very much. By the way, thank you for coming on here. Always appreciate when people are on here commenting and all that. It's always great talking and replying and all that. But basically, I'm going to be going through uh, every day, or at least I'm going to try to do it every day, where I'm going to go through each decade of his discography. Well, Stevie Wonder really only has two big decades, the 60s and the 70s. And then the 80s, 80s and onward, I'll combine it. And then uh, I'll do one full ranking video. But I've always wanted to talk about the Stevie Wonder 60s albums because not many people talk about those 60s albums. People talk about the classic period, obviously. Um, by the way, go check out Jason's channel. I'll leave his name up here. Check his channel out because we just did the top albums of 1972. Check that video out. I had two Stevie Wonder albums on there. None of those albums will obviously be on my list because this is the 60s albums, and you guessed it, 1972 is in the 70s. So there's that. And check out a video I'm going to be doing later with Scott, where we're going to be checking out the the third last, because latest Rolling Stone, because they're planning on releasing another album. But check that out. Oh, rambling aside, I want to rank all these albums because people really know the classic period. I've said that already, but without further ado, let me get started. Um, Coming in at number 11. This is like my least favorite. This might be my least favorite Stevie Wonder album in general. That's gonna be With the Song in My Heart. I believe this was 1964. This was released, or 1963, whatever year it was released. I'm not a big fan of this album, and the biggest reason why I'm not a big fan of this album is that it's Stevie Wonder, a very young Stevie Wonder, might I add you. Like, this is like little kid Stevie Wonder I'm talking about here. This is like before his voice even matured. They're having him sing like uh they're having them sing like slower songs, like stuff that you would expect Sinatra to sing, or Dean Martin to sing, or any of like the Rat Pack albums, or like big band music, pretty much. It just doesn't work at all for Stevie Wonder at all. It doesn't work with his. Yeah, for one, it's weird having a little kid singing, and two, it's weird to have him sing this type of stuff. It just doesn't work. Um, I can't give you really any highlights on this album because I don't like anything on this album. I listened to this album like 4 or 5 times. And I've been listening to Stevie Wonder I've been listening to him for years now. So, and I've only heard it like 4 or 5 times. And when I say hear it, I mean like in chunks. I don't listen to this album in its entirety. I've heard it once or twice in its entirety, but this is not an album that I recommend you listening to. Only if you want to listen to all of his albums, which props to you if you do that, like I did, but it's not an album I recommend. It's again, when I rank all of his albums, this is probably dead last in his ranking. I never liked this album. Um, this album has always been one of my least favorites. Coming in at number 10, now we're reaching technically the top 10. There's 11 albums in this period. Number 10 is Tribute to Uncle Ray. This is his second album, released in 1962. So I can't believe it. 62, he started making music. And almost the same problems with the last album. I'm not a big fan. Again, you're having Stevie Wonder sing songs that he shouldn't be singing. He's a little kid, and you're having him singing. Uh, sorry, sorry, I can't think of the name right now. Ray Charles. He's having him sing Ray Charles songs of all things. I get it; they're both blind. Kind of weird, but it's weird. I'm not a fan of this album. There are a couple good songs on here. Hallelujah, I Love Her So. I think that's a really great opening song. And Ain't That Love? I gotta say the first two songs get me excited on this album. Like, you know what? This could be a pretty good, like, underrated, like, little kid Stevie Wonder album, like kind of like younger Michael Jackson when he was with the Jackson 5. This could be like a underrated album that I would love, but then it gets slow, it gets boring. So one of my least favorite Stevie Wonder songs ever is "I'm Afraid the Masquerade Is Over." This song doesn't fit Stevie Wonder whatsoever. This doesn't sound like a Stevie Wonder song, because it was a Ray Charles song. It doesn't sound right having him sing Ray Charles stuff. I get it. Back in the 60s with Motown, they had their artists sing songs from like the Temptations. They had an album called Temptations Sing Smokey. That worked because they have that same energy. Like the Temptations could do what Smokey Robinson was doing. Stevie Wonder couldn't replicate what Ray Charles was doing at that age. Even if he got older, Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder, while they might have similar things going for them, they're not the same artists. They're very different artists. They don't. Stevie Wonder was his own thing, and it's a very problematic album too. Having again two blind people, two black, two blind, have an album of him singing Ray Charles stuff. I think that's stupid. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this album. You'll find I'm not a big fan of his 60s albums. Coming in at number 9, I'm gonna go with his backwards name album, Evitz Red Now, or backwards Stevie Wonder. Yeah, this album, it's another album I'm not too crazy about. It's all instrumental. A lot of this is boring. There's another instrumental album he did in his first album with Jazz of Soul, Little Stevie. It's an okay album, but this album I've never been crazy about this one. It's always been an album I'm like, I want to get into it because I love Stevie Wonder when he plays the harmonica. I think that's one of the best attributes of Stevie Wonder is when he plays his harmonica. But when you have a whole album of him playing the harmonica, I get bored real quick. It's not even like great material either. I have like one semi-highlight. I'd say Never My Love. His harmonica cover of Never My Love and Ask the Lonely. That's pretty cool. It's like a little bit of a medley. That's about it. I really have nothing else to say about this one. Again, even Stevie Wonder didn't like it. Not only did he have his name backwards, but he had it on the Gordy label. Yeah, it's like even Stevie Wonder wasn't happy with this project. And this was like the first album of 1968 too. He would release an album the same year that is way better than this one. We'll go to that later. Number 8. Speaking of instrumental, we got the jazz soul of Little Stevie. If you know me and Jason, we did our top 10 albums of 1960. Again, go over to Jason's channel, give him some love. Check his video out on it, please. That would be very, very nice if you gave him a follow and a listen. But pretty much, I had this on my list. But not for this being like the best album ever, but because there were really no more albums I really cared for in 1960. So Yeah, the thing about this album, it's jazz. It's just straight up jazz. There's not really much of Stevie you're getting. You're getting like maybe like the bongos on one song, maybe little drums on this other song. Like you get very little of Stevie on this album. It's not really a Stevie Wonder album, really. It's somewhat you have him on the cover, but it's really just a jazz album. It's just a jazz album disguised as a Stevie Wonder album. I get it. It's his first album, but it's kind of a weird first album to have as a, when you think of Stevie Wonder, his greatness as an artist, you think, what is his first album? It's him as a little kid, and it's no vocals on it. It's an instrumental album, and there's like very little of it. If it was like an album of just Stevie Wonder doing the instruments, I would totally get why you would call it a Stevie Wonder album. But it's not even like all of him. It's just like it's a weird album. It's a weird debut album for up and coming artists. Again, this is 1962. Um, Unfortunately, Stevie Wonder has not made any of my top 10 lists. Uptight was the closest. Yeah, I know, and I doubt you have any of it. I doubt you're gonna have any of his other albums. Maybe one of his like 80s albums you might surprise me with, but I don't know. But yeah, Uptight's a good album. We'll see how far that one goes. But yeah, just so little Stevie. I don't even know if I would want to even consider it to be an album from him, but there's that. Coming in at number 7, his 1967 album, his second album of the year, Someday at Christmas. Yes, Someday at Christmas. I'd say both 67 albums could be kind of in a tie because they're both kind of, well, we'll see where the other 67 album is. This is an okay album. It's decent. There's some songs I enjoy on this album. I gotta say the bookends are good. Someday at Christmas and What Christmas Means to Me. That's a good bookend. I like the bookends on this album. But the biggest problem with this album, it's so slow. It's another slow album. When I think Stevie Wonder, I like his. There's some really great ballads in his 70s classic period, but this album is just slow song after slow song after slow song. It gets boring, especially for Christmas. Christmas makes me want to feel festive and lively. I don't want to listen to an album full of slower songs. That takes me out of it. It really does. I want to be excited for Christmas. I don't want to feel like, oh, Christmas. But I don't know. Again, the bookends are great. Someday Christmas and What Christmas Means to Me. Those are great songs. Anyways, coming at number 6, is his other 1967 album, I Was Made to Love Her. Yeah, I think these two albums are very, very similar to each other. They're very boring. I've never been a fan of the title track. I Was Made to Love Her. I always thought this song, I wouldn't say sucked, but I never cared for this version of I Was Made to Love Her. I've always preferred the Beach Boy version, the one that was on their Wild Honey album. It's an album that I'm like, it's not terrible, but it's not great either. It's always been like a B grade single for me for Stevie Wonder. And the rest of the album isn't much better. I mean, I like the second and third song, Send Me Some Loving and I'd Cry. I think those two songs are the best songs on the album. Actually, I'm gonna be honest. When I heard the album, I heard the first song. I'm like, okay, it's okay. I heard those two songs. I'm like, maybe maybe it's one of those albums where I don't care for the hit single and the rest of the album's great. It's not that case. I'm not a fan of the album. I'm not a fan of Everybody Needs Somebody. I'm not a fan of Respect. I really don't like his version of Respect. I hate his version of My Girl. I think his version of My Girl is terrible. Uh, Baby Don't You Do It. That does not fit Stevie Wonder at all. Can I Get a Witness? Doesn't work for him. I'm not a fan of the material they're giving him on this album. This is still around the time they're giving him stuff to sing about, and I'm not a fan of it. Again, those two songs carry this album. But coming in at number 5, we're reaching my top 5 albums of the 60s for Stevie Wonder. Stevie at the Beach. Yeah, Stevie at the Beach. I know they're setting up everywhere. You have them sing standards on the one album, have them sing Ray Charles on this album. They didn't know. I mean, before Uptight, they had no idea what Stevie Wonder was gonna do. They didn't know what to do with little Stevie at the time, and of his first four albums, I mean, as you can see, this is my favorite of his first four albums. This is his fourth album, released in 1964. It works. I mean, it's not a great album. It's a decent album. Even in the top five of the '60s albums, I'm like, it's decent. Nothing too special. I like Castles in the Sand, both the sung version and the instrumental version. There's two different versions on this album. By the way, that's where the harmonica does work. I think the harmonica version on Castles in the Sand, the instrumental version, I think that's wonderful. I think that version is amazing. I actually like it better than the sung version. That's how you do the harmonica right on a song. I like his version of Beyond the Sea. That's pretty cool. Hey Harmonica Man, that's a pretty good song. So I gotta say it's a good album. It's a decent album. It's not an album that I would go back to personally, but it's not an album that I dislike either. I would own this album. This is like as of his earliest albums, I would own this album. It's an album that I would own, like not just for collection reasons, but to listen to it every once in a while. All right, now we're gonna reach number 4, and this is gonna be one of two albums of 1966. We're gonna be talking about his second album of 1966, coming out number 4, Down to Earth. Yes, this is his follow-up to Uptight, and I like this album. I don't think it's as good. I think it's a little bit of a step down from Uptight, but this is like his first. This album and Uptight are like his first like pretty great albums. Like not albums that I would recommend, like I would say are like essential. Like, oh, if you're not listening to this, you're not getting the full Stevie Wonder experience. But this is like his first album where I'm like, you know what? If you felt like you've heard enough of the classic period and some of the albums before, like Signed Sealed, My Sherry Amour, For Once in My Life, and Where I'm Coming From, those 4 albums that came before the classic period. If you feel like you've heard a lot of Stevie Wonder and you want to hear more, these next 2 albums I'm going to be talking about are albums that I personally would recommend. Place in the Sun, that's a great song. I think Stevie does a great job singing that one. Bang Bang, My Baby Shot Me Down. I believe Sonny Bono wrote that for Cher. I think he does an amazing rendition on that one. Be Cool, Become, and Keep Yourself Collected. That's a great song. My World is Empty Without You. 16 Tons. He surprisingly does a great version on that one. I'm not a fan of his version of Mr. Tambourine Man. Down to Earth, the title track is okay. Sylvia is decent. So not quite Stevie Wonder that I love the entirety of the album, but it's an album that I would totally put on and keep it on. Like there's nothing here I would skip, but nothing where I'm like, you know what, this is like all killer, no filler type thing. Speaking of 1966, again, I said I was going to be talking about it. 1966's album, his 5th album, Uptight. And my friend Jason just mentioned that album, Uptight. Yes, Uptight. This is his first really, again, like I said about the last one, this is like his first really good album. Again, I would not say it's essential, just like the last one, Down to Earth. I would not say it's essential. It's an album that I'm like, you know what? If you own it or you see it at the record store for dirt cheap, pick it up. Go right ahead. Go pick it up. There's some great stuff on there. I pretty much like almost everything on this album. Love a Go-Go. I think his version of Blowing in the Wind is pretty good. Nothing's Too Good for My Baby. It's like a nice little beat to that one. Teach Me Tonight with Levy Stubbs from the Four Tops. There's 2. As far as I know, there are 2 big collaborations on this album. You have Levy Stubbs of the Four Tops on Teach Me Tonight, and you have the Temptations on Contract of Love. Pretty cool. You have 2 big collaborations on this album. So I think Motown really put some big effort into this one. I think that's like the first album where they start kind of taking Stevie a little more seriously compared to the other four albums where they were just giving him stuff to sing or play if you're talking about the first album. But yeah, I mean, again, Love a Go Go, Teach Me Tonight, um, Pretty Little Angel, really great underrated song. Contract to Love, again, the Great Temptations collaboration, really underrated song with a Child's Heart. That song is unknown. It's a great. That's like his first like real like ballad in his discography, and it's really really good. And then, of course, you have the big song Uptight, Everything's All Right. That song is one of his best. That's like one of my favorite songs from him ever. It's like in my top 10 favorite songs from him. It is that good. I always love this song. I love the drum beat on it. I love his vocals. This is like his first like signature song for me for Stevie Wonder. His first four albums, they were good songs. This is like his first like really great song. So this is a really, if you haven't heard this song, go check that song out. It is really, really good. I would be really surprised if you like Stevie Wonder and don't know that song. It's one of his bigger songs. All right. So now we've reached the top two. And yes, we had to get to the top two for me to say these last two 60s albums, in my opinion, are essential. I think these albums are must listens. And I think they're underrated too, if you ask me. Coming in at number two, I'm gonna go with My Chérie Amour. My Chérie Amour is such a great 60s album. It's his last of the 60s albums. So we're getting near the 70s on this one. They're starting to let him write songs too. This album and For Once in My Life, they're starting to actually give him the permission to write songs. So that's like a huge bonus already. Like, hey, you could you could write your own material. Not entirely. Not this whole album isn't all written stuff. We still don't get that until 71's where I'm coming from. But this is a good step in the direction. Let him write a couple of his songs. Of course, I can't not talk about the title track, My Chérie Amour. That's one of his best songs. Again, it's one of my favorite Stevie Wonder songs. It's so good. One of my favorite songs by him, again, another top 10 song on this album, Yester Me, Yester You, Yesterday. That song is also really good. I actually like it better than the title track. I think those two songs alone give this album credibility for you to listen to it. But I think this is a really underrated album. Hello Young Lovers, that's a great song. I love the production on that one. At Last, I mean, before the Etta James version, this was the version I was aware of. I mean, obviously, I've heard Etta James' version. She is amazing. Again, go check out me and Jason's top 10 list of 1960. I have that on my top 10 list at Last. That's a great song on its own, but Stevie Wonder takes that song to a whole different level. Same with Light My Fire. I think his version of Light My Fire is really good. Somebody Knows, Somebody Cares. That's a great song. Angie Girl. I think that's one of his most underrated songs. Same with Give Your Love. This used to be my favorite of the 60s albums, but coming in at number one, my favorite album of the 60s, 1968's For Once in My Life. Yes, this is my favorite album from Stevie Wonder of the 60s. It's not my favorite Stevie Wonder album, but of the 60s, this album is amazing. This album in My Chérie Amour, but this album especially, this album should be one of his most revered albums ever. No one talks about this album. No one knows this album exists. People know of the songs, some of the songs on here, but it's not an album that people will recommend. I dare say this is better than most of his classic period albums. I think it's better than Music of My Mind. I think it's better than Inner Visions. I think it's better than For Holiness' first finale. I might even say it's better than Talking Book, the album that won 1972 for me. I think this might be my second favorite Stevie Wonder album. It is that good. I never understood why no one talked about this album. This album is, it's not like his most creative album, but it's one of those albums where it's one of those albums that gets you in the groove. With For Once in My Life, that song is so good. For Once in My Life is such an amazing song. Shooby Dooby Doo Da Day. That's like another, again, one of those top 10 Stevie Wonder type songs for me. I love that song so much. Shooby Dooby Dooby Doo Da Day. That's a fun groove. And the groove just keeps on going. You met your match. You match. That song is awesome. So underrated. I Want to Make You Love Me. That's another groove. Just groovy. It's one of those albums that, you know, I can listen to the entire thing without even noticing it. It's just one of those albums that just gets me in the groove, loving everything about it. Uh, I'm more happy. I'm more than happy. I am satisfied. That's another great song. You have him rocking on the harmonica at one point, and then side one ends with I don't know why. Side one, I'll admit, side one is definitely the better of the two sides, but side two is pretty great too. Sonny, I love that. His version's great. His version in the Four Tops are probably my two favorite versions of this song. I'd Be a Fool Right Now is pretty great. Ain't No Loving. I always love that song. Ain't no loving like my baby. Underrated song. God Bless the Child is good. Do I love her? Ooh, that's another great song that just gets me in the groove. And then the House on the Hill, great way to close out the album. In general, though, I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of his 60s albums. I mean, if you watch the whole video, probably like Jason did, I'm sure probably Jason probably watched the full 27 minutes of this, but if you're like Jason and you watch this, you probably figured out that I'm not big into on his 60s albums, because, and I wouldn't really blame Stevie Wonder on it. I'm not blaming him on these albums, because Motown forced them to make these records. They forced them. They had a control on him. They couldn't just they couldn't they didn't let him write his own music. They were fully in control of him, especially in the very early parts of his career. So I'm not gonna blame him on this album, but I will say he does get a lot better throughout the 60s, and the climax is My Sherry Moore and For Once in My Life. Those two albums like gives you a great taste into what he's planning on doing next, which, by the way, if I have the time for tomorrow, I will be doing the ranking of the albums of the 70s, from 1970s Signed, Sealed, Delivered, all the way to Journey Through the Secret Life of Plants. So we'll see that what that brings me. And he only has 4 80s albums. So again, the third day, I'll go from 1980 to 2005 with A Time to Love. But as far as the 60s are concerned, again, I wanted to at least talk about them, even if it's not all sunshine and rainbows and all love. It sucks though. I wish there was more 60s Stevie Wonder albums that I enjoyed, because think about Stevie Wonder is, you know, you wish there was more of it. You know, stuff like For Once in My Life and My Sherry Moore. Those albums are teases, because we could have had more of that. I wish we would have had more of that kind of Stevie Wonder, not Stevie Wonder singing old classics or old standards. You know, I don't want to hear him sing "Smile." That song, it doesn't work for him, and I don't want to hear him sing Ray Charles songs. You know, it just, or sings on the beach, even though I think that's an okay album. You know, so it's a shame, but we didn't get really the full Stevie Wonder experience. But anyways, Jason, thank you for watching this. I'll be back about around 9:30 with me and Scott, where we'll talk about the uh, Blue and Lonesome Rolling Stones album. But until then, thank you for watching. Whoever is watching the replay, and I'll see you guys next time. So long.